it's great for us.
And volunteer centers across the nation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the Serve America Act, what's that all about?
It was actually a bipartisan act that Hatch and Kennedy came together and wrote, and it's been supported across the aisle the whole way, and it was signed by the president at the end of April to support volunteerism nationally. It gives more money towards AmeriCorps programs, the Senior Corps programs, the National RSVP programs, and also to volunteer centers to build capacity for volunteers across the nation. And so it's in the realm of, why do you put money towards volunteerism? Well, if you can put somebody to help coordinate volunteers, you supply one person, but that person can then coordinate hundreds of volunteers to come out. And so you build the capacity that volunteers can actually make sustainable change throughout the country.
I'm glad you said bipartisan, because as much as I get enthusiastic about President Obama, also the first President Bush had his 1,000 Points of Light program, and volunteerism has certainly been a important tenet of the two-party system, of the no-party system, and the faith-based community is very involved in volunteerism. Do you interact with the faith-based community?
Yes, we do. We have we work with many faith-based community programs like the soup kitchens based out of churches. We can actually. Well, I'm speaking, I guess, for RSVP, which is one of the national programs. We cannot work with churches, but we can work with the soup kitchens, and we definitely have a lot of them that we work with. But one of the things I wanted to say in regards to the Serve America Act is that it also acknowledges the great work that older Americans do and the great expertise that they have to offer to the nonprofit community. And it's now offering incentives to these individuals. Like, for instance, an individual who's been volunteering can use the hours that they have logged in to collect a stipend, which they can then pass on, let's say, to their grandchildren for their education and so forth. And there are a lot of other incentives that we are going to see coming through that older adults can take advantage of.
Be careful when you say that word, older adults, and I'm turning 50 on June 6th, so I've been getting solicited from the American Association of Retired People, and I've been sending back the mail saying I'm not ready to retire yet. But I was at a meeting the other day of 55 plus, and was told that of the 200,000 people in Yonkers, something like 47,000 of them are over the age of 55. I noticed in your program, you're talking about people want to get back to work from the age 40 and up. So what is the group that you serve, and how many of those people are out there?
Well, this is in regards to the work search or the RSVP program?
Oh, both. I mean, I guess there are different cutoffs. The RSVP program is just, what is the age group there?
The RSVP program is for individuals that are 55 and older.
So I got some time. Yes,
I think we all have some time. And then the work search is actually being marketed to individuals that are 40 and older. And RSVP is a completely volunteer-driven program, whereas work search is assisting. So we have RSVP volunteers assisting individuals that are coming in to look for work at the work search site with navigating the system. So so that they're definitely working together, but one is volunteer-based, the other one is work-based.
So if you're 55 and old and you have experience, and frankly, I've seen octogenarians, I've seen 75-year-olds volunteer, especially with like the SMART and the STACK program and some of the other programs that Westchester Community Partners has. So if you've got the experience, then you volunteer for the work program so you can help the folks that are 40 and above get back into the workplace, because those folks aren't ready to retire yet.
Absolutely, and you just mentioned the SMART program at the Westchester Community Partners, and we actually have tons of RSVP volunteers in that program that get to refer to that program, and the RSVP volunteers are practically, I would say, most nonprofit organizations in Yonkers, and including now the Work Search Project, and they will serve as navigators. And we also, one of the things that I didn't mention earlier is that there's going to also be a support group that's going to be running in conjunction with Work Search, so that, and these have been actually springing up quite fast since the economic crisis, and these are groups that come together because they need the support as they're looking for work. They need the moral support, if you will, while they're in their search. So you're not just going to have an online system. You're also going to have the human component with it, which is, I think, really important right now.
We can get into some of the networking and social skills later, but what are some of the programs each of you refer people to in Yonkers? I know you've got a lot of experience with people with disabilities and other sorts of needs. What are some of the compelling human stories that you have seen volunteers help change people's lives?
Well, you talk about people with disabilities, and we do send volunteers to Richmond to work with adults and kids with developmental disabilities. We have people going into the Hudson River Museum as docents to give tours throughout the museum. We have volunteers going into Beeksack Nature Center, Education Center, and doing everything from environmental studies to helping with the aquariums and things like that.
I'm glad you mentioned BSAC, and I'm going to get back to you on your list, but just to put a little commercial out here for River Day, which is actually coming up on June 6th, which is part of the whole quadricentennial of Henrik Hudson's first sail up the Hudson River, where he mapped the river for the Europeans. And there's going to be a whole flotilla of ships coming up the river, and you'll be able to see them from Bezac. You'll be able to see them from the Kennedy Marina this June 6th. So I'm glad you mentioned Bezac and the Hudson River Museum for that things. Now, does the Hudson River Museum come to you and say, we need volunteers? Do you reach out to them? Because I know they recruit directly also for volunteers.
Right.
Yeah.
We do a little of both. I mean, when we see great programs in the community, we're going to go to them and say, make sure you promote your volunteer opportunities through the volunteer center so we can help and work with you. But we exist to support them and their need for volunteers. And then we also help the volunteer administrators that run the programs develop their professional skills through our Association of Volunteer Administrators. So they can get skills from us. Ari runs the agency relations program, so her team gives consulting and assistance to nonprofits that need help with not just recruitment, but retaining volunteers as well and giving them a good experience once they're there.
Do you help with board members too? I mean, that seems to be a problem with some not-for-profits, is that you need to have really good board members. And board members have different skills. Some board members are on the board because they can raise money or because they have money themselves that they can donate. Others are on the board because they have an incredible amount of energy or experience or contacts in the community. And I guess you need a balance of all sorts of board members. Do you place board members? If somebody comes to you and says they have a need for board members, do you work with them?
Yeah, we do two programs. One is we actually help people find placement on boards of directors. And then there's another program run out of our RSVP program, our Experienced Professionals and Executives program. They developed a training where they go in and do an assessment with your board of directors and help your board members become more effective board members. And whether that means doing more fundraising or governing better or looking at the finances better, they have a whole checklist of things that they can work on, and they'll evaluate the board and help them develop themselves.
What's your catchment area? It's more than just Yonkers, right?
Yeah, Westchester and Putnam County. The Volunteer Center serves both areas. RSVP, however, is just in Westchester. There's another RSVP program in Putnam that we don't run.
And how is Yonkers as a place both that has needs, but I've always liked the fact that in Yonkers, although we have some of the social problems that large cities have, we're small enough that we could actually put our hands around it. They talk about the laboratories of democracy, and you can test out programs in a place like Yonkers, and if it works, replicate it elsewhere. And we've got an incredible pool of people, again, over the age of 55 that do volunteer. So is it a good place to work, Yonkers?